Corner Lounge Arcade again with another episode of What's in the Arcade. Today we're going to be talking about our side-scrollers and beat-em-ups that we have in the arcade and some of the impact that they had on the arcades back in the days, the 80s and 90s. So we're going to start right here with Double Dragon, which had a huge impact in the beat-em-up genre. This game really set the bar for a lot of the beat-em-ups that came after it. This game was such a huge success when it came out that you couldn't even get close to the machine itself when it, hit the arcades. You would have to wait in line, wait your turn. So we're actually going to do gameplay of that in our next episode. So next week we are going to play through this game on one quarter, all the way through it, and show you some tips and tricks. This is an all original Double Dragon cabinet with all the original hardware and motherboard and everything in there. So that is here. Now we're going to head over to the back row in the arcade, which we have a whole lineup of beat-em-ups and side-scrollers. So we're going to start right here with POW, Prisoners of War, which came out a year after Double Dragon. Double Dragon came out in '87, and this one came out in 1988. Had some pretty cool features where you could pick up a machine gun, fire it off, and then use it as a weapon once the bullets were gone. Pick up some knives, which you also had in Double Dragon. So there was such a huge demand for beat-em-up games after Double Dragon came out that the market just started getting flooded with all sorts of different styles of beat-em-ups. So the other thing we did in here is we added a switch and a system where you could actually play Ninja Gaiden as well in this cabinet. And they're both original motherboards, and we're actually going to open this up in a little bit and show you how we did that towards the end of the video here. So Ninja Gaiden POW are in that cabinet for you. Then we come over here to fast forward a little bit into the year 2002, and we have Metal Slug 4. So fans of Metal Slug, that's here in the arcade in our Neo Geo cabinet. Great cabinet, everything plays really well, and fantastic game, really fun. This is not so much a beat 'em up as it is a side scroller, because you have left and right movement, but then you have sort of a jump instead of being able to move away from the player and towards the player. So that's in there for you guys to play. We're going to move down the row, and we have In the Hunt. In the Hunt is a great also side scroller, same artist that did the Metal Slug series, just a lot earlier. They sort of started with this company here, IREM. And the first one that they did that I know of is actually the other game that we have in here called Gun Force. So you can see the artwork and the style is very similar to Metal Slug. You can get in some vehicles here, get some weapon power-ups. So Gun Force and In the Hunt, original motherboards are in this cabinet, rebuilt CRT monitor, so it looks fantastic, colors are great. New buttons and joystick. This game just plays like a dream. So again, you can see that same style as Metal Slug in the way that the art is done and the scrolling. So we're going to move down here. I don't think this game needs an introduction. Final Fight. So a lot of people know Final Fight. That's a great game from 1989. You got Cody, Hagar, and Guy in this game. Super fun beat 'em up. So that's here in the arcade, Final Fight. We're going to move down to Magic Sword. Not so much a beat 'em up as it is a side scroller with some platforming elements to it. So Magic Sword is kind of cool because you can actually unlock different gates or cells, I guess, and get a companion that goes with you on this. But like I said, it's more of a platformer side scroller because you can jump up and down on different levels. But the companion system is really neat if you've never played this game, because you can pick up different companions that add different abilities or strengths as you're playing the game. And this is great to play with a friend. So it's getting into some gameplay. So you can see there's two players, but they have a mage and the ogre with them as an assist character. So the other thing we did in here, I don't know if it'll focus, but Magic Sword, we also have another Capcom game, Knights of the Round. I do consider this one a beat 'em up because you can move away from you and towards you. You still have a jump button, but you can move in all 4 directions in this game. It's just like Final Fight, except you have weapons. So this is a really fun game. So Knights of the Round, Magic Sword are both in this cabinet for you, both Capcom games. Magic Sword came out in 1990, Knights of the Round a couple years later in 92, or 91 actually. It's right there on the screen. So both of those are in here. Now we're going to get into a game that's a little bit unique. I wouldn't say it's a side-scroller necessarily or a beat-em-up, although it has aspects of both in that you can move in all 4 directions. But the other thing about this cabinet in this game, Heavy Barrel, is the joysticks also rotate. So because you can turn and fire in any direction while you're moving in any direction, sometimes it scrolls to the right, sometimes it'll scroll up. The game just moves around in different directions because you can fire in any direction. So that game right there, Heavy Barrel, is really fun to play through, and that came out in 1987. Also in that same year, if you look down here, we have another game. So we have Heavy Barrel, and we also have Time Soldiers. So if you flip that switch, that will switch over to Time Soldiers. Same thing. You've got lots of power-ups that you can pick up in this game. This is a super fun game. A little on the harder side, but worth getting to know and know how to play. You travel through different eras, different time, and rescue comrades. Now, if you don't do it right, and you don't pick up your comrade in the right era, you can actually just keep cycling through this game, really with no end. So you have to pay attention to your mission and which era you're supposed to warp to. So both of those games are in there, both with rotary joysticks, has been rebuilt, and just plays really well. So now we're going to move over to one of the Sega greats that I don't think needs an introduction, Altered Beast. Altered Beast is a great, fantastic fantasy side-scroller. It also has beat-em-up aspects to it, in that you're not really using weapons. You're just kind of beating up the enemies. But again, it has platforming aspects to it in that you're moving up and down and not away and towards yourself in this game. But super fun side-scroller from Sega, and ended up on the Sega Genesis and all sorts of different ports. So Altered Beast came out in 1988. A year later, they put out another game which I really love, and we put in the same cabinet, which is Golden Axe. So Golden Axe is super fun. You've got a Valkyrie, a dwarf, and then the sword-wielding guy. You can get on these little rideable dragons and things like that. You have magic. And so this is kind of like a fantasy beat-em-up because you can, move around in the 4 directions. Super fun game to play through. So both of those games are in this Altered Beast cabinet. Plays really well. Monitor's been rebuilt, and the colors are very vivid, on the CRT here. Now we're going to move down to another game that a lot of people know and love, Sunset Riders. So Sunset Riders is a pretty fun game to play with a buddy. It is more of a side scroller with some platforming aspects to it, and it's a shooter, and you can pick up power-ups along the way, and that's a really fun game. Let's see here, Sunset Riders. Yeah, that one came out in '91, and so what we did with this one, Konami came out with another game about a year later that also had a Saturday morning cartoon, Cowboys of Moo Mesa, if you guys ever saw that. So we have Sunset Riders, and we also have Cowboys of Moo Mesa in here. You flip the switch, and it's very, very similar gameplay to Sunset Riders, but I just find this game just really zany and cartoony and super fun. You have some other things you can do in this that you couldn't do in Sunset Riders, and that's by hitting both buttons. You can take the cow and roll into things to knock them over or break them. The boss characters are pretty cool in this too. So that's a fun game. So Sunset Riders, Cowboys of Moo Mesa are both in there. And then we're going to get to the last one that we're talking about today, which is Aliens. Aliens is also a shooter, but you can move in all four directions. You can move away from the screen towards yourself, left and right, pick up weapons as you go along. Really fun graphics and aliens everywhere. So that's a fun game to play through. That one also came out in 1990. So that's here. This is our beat 'em up side scroller sort of row, and super fun. That's at the arcade. So now let's take a look inside. How do we do the two motherboards? And we're going to take a look at POW and see how that's done here. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up. We've unhooked it. And let me get a flashlight here so that we can see what's going on. Okay, so in here, we actually have two motherboards stacked together. Okay, you can see the two cables there. And they're both going through this sort of 16 relay board. And so we've got 1 and 2, we've got POW on the bottom and then Ninja Gaiden. And that goes up to the switch. And when we flip that, you can see all of the relays turn on, and that flips over like the signal for the video, red, blue, green, the sync, the sound, the player controls, and puts that output to the screen here. So that's it. These are custom built by us here at the Quarter Lounge, and all of these games that have a switcher, we've custom built those and stacked the boards together or mounted them side by side, and just added 2 of the JAMA harnesses and goes into the cabinet as one. So that's how we end up doing that. Again, nothing emulated here in the arcade, so it's all the original experience. And just we keep our games in great shape and maintained really well. Change buttons if we need to. We'll change the switch on the spot if we're having trouble with it. So that's it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We will get into the Double Dragon gameplay next week and play all the way through that game on 1/4.
Okay, super excited for this one. Let's get into some gameplay for Time Soldiers. So the plot here is some of your comrades have been captured, so we need to go to the World Wars. Now you almost always start in the Age of Rome and have to fight through it to get to whichever one it tells you. And you can see up top in the sort of pink-purple lettering that we need to get to World Wars. And this is a very difficult game to just start out with, just because you have to get used to enemies coming from all sides, turning that joystick and hitting them. So let's see if I can get through at least to the World Wars, which is where we need to go here. Yeah, see, they come from all sides. You got to use those angles sometimes. And of course, you can pick up specials in this game, which you see right there. There's another one, that wide shot, which I'm about to pick up. That's always nice to have. So you always have like a mini boss, and then you have an end level boss. So we should see a D-scanner up here. With the D-scanner, that's like a little portal that will take you to another time frame. So it should be just above. So you see it there up on the right. I'm going to skip that for now, even though I could go in that warp to another time zone. I just want to show you the rest of this level. So it's side-scrolling, it's up-scrolling. I don't think it really does any back-scrolling or left-scrolling. Nah. Walked into that one. So I just love the mechanics of this game and the way that it works, and keeps you moving down the path and changing directions on you. Very fun. Great game to play with a buddy too. Okay, we should be coming up on the final end boss pretty soon. Trying to use up my special. So you see in the top left, you see those boxes. Whenever you use your special, that starts to deplete, and that's how much. That's how you know how much special you actually have left. So you see, I'm using it there. Ah, he got me. Okay. So if my comrade was in this age, he would be right here, and I would rescue him. So now he needs my help in the World Wars, which is where I just warped to. So I would have to get to the end of this level to rescue the first comrade. And there's actually 5 comrades that you have to, there you go, using the special on the high ones that you can't normally reach. Got one more on the left there. Alright. So there's 5 comrades that you have to rescue in this game. And there's 5 different levels or ages. You have the primitive age, the age of Rome, the World Wars, the age of war, and then the future world. This gets kind of tricky. You really got to use that cover and get rid of some of those enemies. Here we go. We're just going for it. Oh, man. So that's pretty much how Time Soldiers works. You got to get around, rescue your comrades. It's a pretty lengthy game, and it can loop if you don't get to the right age over and over. So come on in, give it a try, and yeah, great game here.